welcome you to Real Life Mums, the podcast with me, Mira Naidu. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is part 3 of the Mental Health and Wellbeing series. And today we'll be chatting about how do you learn and how do you listen with Preya Gopie. Hi, Preya, welcome back.
Hi, Mira. It's good to be back. Thank you so much for allowing me to join the session again.
Fantastic. Always happy to have you. Thank you for joining this 3-part series. It's been so enlightening and educational, not just for me, as well for the listeners. And it's so important given that we're heading into the third wave of the pandemic, and we're living with this disease, that, we keep positive, and we keep our minds in the right headspace. Mental health is such a huge topic. And this is one of the reasons why we split it into 3 podcasts, um, because it's huge. So I hope that breaking it down into the 3 parts has helped everyone consume this a bit better. But yeah, Priya, I'm babbling on here, but a very warm
It's all
welcome
right.
to
I'll
you
save
again.
you. It's all very natural. It's not scripted, so it's fine. It's meant to be this way.
Okay,
Shall I just
yeah,
go ahead
can
and
you
start
can you
then?
please just once again, for those listening for the very first time, can you give them a short intro about yourself and who you are and what you do at the moment, just to yeah, basically to give an introduction to the newbies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, my name is Preya Gopie. I am a senior HR professional with about 15 years of mainly corporate banking experience. But as you rightly said, with the pandemic, I kind of changed gears a little bit and shifted my career. And so, the whole kind of past year and a bit, I've been doing a lot of volunteer work for my
Mhm.
community for a local charity called Inclusion Barnet. So there were lots of Zoom sessions, and I would help people with mental health disabilities try to achieve their goals, just small goals. They might have been suffering from agoraphobia or bipolar conditions. And it has been tough. The pandemic has been really very hard on everybody.
Absolutely.
And what's happened more recently is that it's made me reflect and change my career path. So right now I'm working for an NHS trust. So it's made up of 2 hospitals, and I'm the well-being facilitator. And the hospitals are huge. There's over 7,000 people, medical
Wow.
staff, medical professionals. Yeah, and I run sessions that consist of a little bit of meditation. So it could be 5 minutes or 15 minutes of breathing exercises and relaxation. And then we just have an open conversation because if you can imagine, these professionals are taught to suppress their thoughts and emotions and their feelings.
Hmm.
But in my sessions, they get a chance to express how they felt about wave 1 and wave 2. And now, like you rightly said, the next surge, the next wave 3 coming up. So it's almost getting people prepared to do the best they can at work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a little bit about my career in terms of my education. So, my first diploma was back in Durban. So, I'm very much a South African, although I've lived in London for the past 17 years. So yeah, science background, and then just to complement my HR experience, I did a master's and a CIPD in human resources. So that was with London South Bank University, and that was back in 2009. So yeah, that's a little bit about my career and education and who I am and what I'm passionate about, which is the mental health aspect, the physical health aspect, anything and everything to do with well-being.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for that introduction, Priya. It's always interesting listening to a background about a person and knowing where exactly you come from. Um, and yeah, fellow South African.
Yay!
Love that. I'm so looking forward to today's session with you. We're all trying to make a little bit of progress in our lives, just one step in that right direction, and learning something new every day. So today, what will you be sharing with us?
Sure. So I did think about what would be best for your audience, including, like you said, the newbies. And it made me think about, yes, we are trying to learn a little, trying to improve ourselves a little bit better, but how about starting with learning styles? So there's something called Mumford learning styles, and there's four ways in which you can learn. So, members of the audience can identify how they learn
Yeah.
by me going through these four different types. So the first type is an activist. And an activist is somebody who learns by testing new experiences. They like new knowledge. They like to be more open minded and enthusiastic, as well as act now and think later. So that's an activist, very active in their learning.
Yeah.
The second type is the theorist. So this individual, maybe slightly academic, they like learning concepts and theories and models, and they need that hard evidence, and they need to be logical and disciplined in the way they
Mhm.
learn and the way they think. And the third type is the reflector. So somebody who thinks really carefully before they learn something new. They stand back, they exercise before they act, they think very carefully, long and hard about it, they might prepare.
Yeah.
And then you have the fourth type of learner, which is a pragmatist. So this is somebody who's really very practical, they action oriented rather than having a deep discussion about it, but then they also focus on personal goals and learning for themselves. So if it benefits them, then they will pick up the learning and bring that knowledge to their own life and their own goals. And so those are the four types of learning styles. So you could be an activist, a theorist, a reflector, or a pragmatist. And I guess what that helps with your listeners and your audience members is to really work out, okay, what do I like to do? I like to unpick the science behind a concept, or I like to just, dive in and try something new. I know, Mira, you've been doing some amazing giveaways, so that looks all like brand new work. And
Yeah.
so my question for you is, how do you think you might identify with any one of those four learning styles?
Well, just to think about it a bit, I'm also very action, sometimes diving before even thinking. Guilty on that one. So I think I'm a bit of both. So I'm a bit of a a pragmatist,
Pragmatist, yeah,
and
and an
then an
activist.
activist, because yeah, you act first, think later. So
Yeah.
yeah, possibly a combination of those two, but dangerous. But yeah.
I think that's so honest and refreshing that you can identify with it, and you put yourself out there. It's not easy when we're speaking about these personal things that impact our mental learning and health and abilities. And it took me a while to realize that, okay, I'm a reflector. I do like to
Yeah.
think about how I'm going to set the scene, or how I'm going to decide what to say or how to act, because I think it just comes from my professional background. But then I'm also quite a theorist, likes concepts and the science of things and breaking it down so people can understand. And then
Yeah.
also, yeah, a little bit of activist, because this is all brand new, this podcasting thing. So it's learning by doing. So you could be one of many things. And I guess it
Yeah.
changes with life, but
And a
with mental
situation
health
perhaps,
and learning.
yeah, if you're in a different situation, you might even change your mind and change from being, the reflector to a pragmatist, instantly. Depends on the situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like we said, the pragmatist focuses on their goals. And
Yeah.
it's almost become that way because with the pandemic, we've become a bit narrowed and centered and specific in our thinking and our doing. But as things open up and we socialize more, we need to kind of learn these skills that are helpful in picking up knowledge quickly and getting back into, living with what comes next with this pandemic. And like you said in the beginning, having more of a positive outlook. So the learning is always going to be there and available for everybody. Just your podcast members just downloading and listening to this.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will glean something new and try out something new. So yeah, those are the learning styles.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's intriguing, and it's nice when you meet a new person to figure out, what are they, or who are they, what type of learning style they have. I think after this, I'm gonna go check out my family and just do a little examination.
I love it. I love it. And it's a good segue to, that type of questions.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to share with is sometimes we ask the question, how are you? And
Yeah.
sometimes we get the answer back, which is I'm fine, which is quite closed answer.
Yes.
And it got me thinking about maybe asking clarifying questions about how are you really doing, and then being able to understand what the person is saying in terms of how they answer, but also how we listen very carefully. So
Mhm.
I wanted to cover the 6 listening habits. These are, really challenging listening habits. It might be a tough pill to swallow, but I thought, what the heck, let's give it a go, Mira. So how does that sound?
Sounds amazing. Teach us something, Priya. I'm
So
all
yeah.
ears. I'm listening.
That's it. Let's see. Let's see. So the first the first type of listener we have is the faker. So the
Yeah.
faker is somebody who makes really good eye contact. They nodding and they appear to be listening, and they usually go uh huh, and they can pick up 1 or 2 words or facts and try to play it back to the person who's speaking, but they
Yeah.
get the fact wrong. So the faker is somebody who appears to be listening, but is not really listening at all. So that's the first listening habit that we can pick up in
Yeah.
life, and
I
we
think
just
most
can
men
fall
fall into
into.
that category, hey?
We're not being male bashing, Mira. I refuse to male bash. Let's not go there.
Light just
Dangerous
went off in my
territory.
brain.
Breathe. Well, we're getting to the breathing exercise a little bit later.
Lost
Anyways,
me.
so so the faker.
Yeah.
The next one is the interrupter. So this is somebody who is quite keen to uh, stop the conversation or interrupt the conversation, but we must almost understand why the person may be doing this, and they're perhaps cutting the speaker off because they're anxious themselves, or they are uncomfortable with what it is that the speaker is saying. So they're not really in the right headspace at all to be having the conversation or to listen to the person. So yeah, that's somebody who interrupts the conversation. And then we have the third type, which is the intellectual listener. So this person just hooks on to 1 or 2 words and then judges the conversation. So it's
Mm.
like, okay, you just want to speak about your car. Okay, so fine. I had a car like that and it's given me the same problem. They almost box you into the category,
Mhm.
and they feel like, they don't really care about the feeling or the emotion. It's just like they've just categorized you into what they feel is an intellectual aspect of the conversation.
Yeah.
And then the fourth type of listener is the happy hooker. And the happy hooker uses the same words you use, but then they go on and speak about, oh, that's happened to me as well. So it's more about them speaking about their story and not really listening to your story. So they just chip in with their own kind of story and their strong opinion,
Mm.
whilst the speaker is, trying to say their story. So that's the happy hooker. They just hook along and want to share their side of their stories. And then we have the fifth type of listener, which is the rebuttal maker. So the rebuttal simply means a dispute or an argument. And
Yeah.
this person, they listen long enough until they get to the point where they can disagree or become maybe argumentative. And this can be really aggravating when you're trying to speak and the person listening is just causing more of a dispute or trying to stop you in your tracks and saying, or makes you feel like I'm right and you're wrong. So
Yeah.
that's the rebuttal maker. And then finally, the sixth one is the advice giver. So this is a listening habit whereby the person speaking is trying to vent or trying to get their point across, but the advice giver almost belittles the problem and gives a piece of advice. And that's unfortunate because we all have problems, but we also need to come up with solutions to our own problems rather than, getting advice too quickly or the situation or the conversation being judged too fast. And advice is helpful, but it's just allowing the person who's speaking to really vent and get it off their chest. And it's like I said in the beginning, we've got so used to suppressing our emotions and feelings, and we need to almost have these conversations, these caring conversations, when we ask, how are you, or how are you really doing, to be able to listen without just falling into our 6 listening habits. So the list again is the faker, the interrupter, the intellectual listener, the happy hooker, the rebuttal maker, and then the final one is the advice giver. So, Mira, which one do you think you are? The long list of listening habits that you might fall into?
Look, as you went through all of them, I kept thinking, do I fall into this box? Do I fall into this box? But I didn't interrupt you, so I'm definitely not the
Well
interrupter.
done. Well done.
Yeah, I think definitely in our busy lives, and also sometimes to apply a filter with what's out there, kind of tend into these bad habits of listening. So you're not listening fully to whoever you're speaking to, or you get distracted very easily, perhaps. So I think as a busy mom, yes, the distractions are a huge thing because of the very long to-do list that we have and things. But how can we cut out the clutter and listen more carefully so that we can avoid these issues where we don't sound almost as if uncaring because we're not listening to the other person. Because I mean, I think actually listening to a person really, yeah, it's an act of care.
Absolutely. It's an absolute act of care. And because we've moved to more phone conversations, there's less time, and, video calls with family, friends, phone conversations, or just WhatsApp messages, which are not conversations. It's not, it is a type of communication, but it's not reflective of that person, their thoughts, their feelings, emotions. It's just a typed message. And so picking up the phone and asking, how are you and how are you really doing? That is an act of care.
Mm.
And I really actually read a book by Matthew McConaughey. It's here. It's called Green Lights, and he
Okay.
speaks about your soul account. So we're quite used to speaking about our bank account, but your soul account is, what have you done in terms of an act of kindness? So spot on, Mira, asking the right question and then listening to the individual's answer is an act of care.
Yeah.
But to your point about being a busy mom, being a busy person, work life balance, well being,
Yeah.
etc., a very good technique. I should have a card here. Is something that I picked up during the pandemic. It's called a little stop card. So it's
Oh,
a
that looks
squashed piece of
cool.
paper, but it's just so
Please
yeah.
share
And then
that
Mira,
with us. Please
yeah,
pop it into my inbox. I think it was a bit hazy to see over the screen, but maybe
yeah.
I'll put it onto the blog so that everyone can see it nicely. But if you could read it out or
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's 8 cards basically that you just cut up and you put everywhere. So I have it in the bathroom so I can read it when I'm brushing my teeth. It's in the kitchen counter. It's here in the office. They're just everywhere. But basically, if for whatever reason you're feeling frustrated with work or panicked or just before you feel the anger or the build up of tension, use the stop acronym, which is, just STOP. S is stop,
yeah.
T is just take 3 breaths. So I said about breathing. Breathing is like, relaxes you. We spoke about it in previous podcasts. It just, alleviates that tension. It's just that deep diaphragm belly breathing. Take
Yes.
deep breaths. And then O is observe. Observe, what am I thinking? What am I reacting to? And what am I feeling in the body sensation? Where is this coming from? Where's this tension or this frustration coming from? And so that's always observe. And P is, putting things into perspective. What's the bigger picture? How do I show gratitude, or what am I thinking, or can this pass? And the best thing with anger is delay. So it's just about making sure you go through the S, T, O, and P perspective and pulling back. And I'm so grateful for the mindfulness course that I've been on and using the stop cards with my clients, because I know, for those of you who have access to a printer and can print it off and pop it around the house, they're pretty useful to just make you just stop and breathe and then decide which action to take, because your actions and your words, they do impact yourself, your body. We spoke about the hot cross bun. It impacts your family, and then it just means deciding what action do I take so that it's more of a positive feeling, positive one. So yeah, those stop cards, yeah, they're pretty tatty now, but they're really very handy because it
Hmm.
works for my family, not just for myself, but yeah, if anybody comes around, it's like, yeah, what are these stop cards? It's a good talking point as well.
Fantastic. That's powerful, Priya. I mean, it's little thing that you can put around the house to gently remind you every day, to put things back into perspective, to observe and to be conscious of yourself, and
Yeah.
the way you walk on this earth. I think it's so important. But yeah, that was really interesting, Priya. Um, Thank you so much. I think we've covered some really amazing content in the last three podcasts with you. It's been so much of fun working with you, and I really appreciate you taking the time out and coming on here to chat to me. Um, I don't know if you have any parting shots.
Ah,
Um,
yes. One more thing. I have some fantastic free mindfulness meditation Zoom sessions coming up. So that
wow,
will
that's
be
excellent.
on, yeah, so it's
Give
open
us
to
all the
everybody.
details.
It's free, it's on Zoom, it's for 10 working days, South African time, 9:30 a.m., and you'll see me live streaming from my flat in Northwest London, just doing 15, 20 minutes of really deep breathing relaxation. So just like how you work out your body at the gym or your 10,000 steps a day or whatever you're doing in terms of physical movement, this is now a mental habit and a mental exercise to get you into just trying something different and new in terms of mindfulness and meditation. And Mira and I, we have this shared background whereby as kids, very little girls, we would go to the same place of worship of ashram, and we've learned how to, well, meditate since we were 4 or 5 years old, right, Mira?
Yes,
So
yes. From very little, yeah, basically born and then told uh, whether we liked it or not, we would be,
exactly, it's a
yeah.
different
So,
story. It's like
y-
I'll put my hand up. I hadn't meditated for a very long time, but I guess with this pandemic and
yes,
just knowing the challenges coming up for the next 6 months of the year, we've got to live with this disease as it mutates, and
yeah.
so
I think it's a
it's
really
about
way
preparedness.
for people that don't know how to meditate and that are keen to learn. I think it would also be and it's free, guys. A
Yeah.
nice opportunity for you to learn, and then learn some techniques as well of how you should be doing it. And then yeah, it's 10 days, but yeah, if you continue, 21 days makes a habit. So yeah, it sounds
Absolutely.
amazing, Priya. Please share more details with me. I will pop the link onto my social media and on the blog. But yeah, when does it start? Give us some dates.
Yeah, so it's odd date. It's the 23rd of July, which is a Friday. So it's a
Yes.
Friday, then Monday to Friday, and then the following Monday to Thursday. So just to let people ease into it and absorb it. So it's not just really like one day after the other for 10 full days. There are, the weekend breaks. So I've made sure I've scheduled that in. But yeah, it's being sponsored by a great company, Staff Treats. And yeah, I'm looking forward to live streaming.
Okay, I can't wait to sign up and join myself. It sounds like something amazing to be part of. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, and it's been so amazing chatting to you once again. And thank you for sharing all of your knowledge with my listeners. I'm sure they're also enjoying everything you've said today. Yeah, and for coming onto Real Life Mom, the podcast, as well as on YouTube. So guys, um, if you've enjoyed this show and enjoy listening to the content that we've been sharing here, make sure you like and subscribe in the comments, and leave your comments as well in the comment section below. We're looking forward to your feedback. But stay safe out there, and take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Priya.